Hi, Mark.
Yeah.
How you doing, mate? It's Michael Purse calling from Adelaide. Claire from...
Hello, Michael. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, good. Great to say hello. How you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Pretty good. Yeah, it's nice weather here. A bit of a late night last night, but I was down the south coast working with Angry and Mark Gable and all those guys, so a bit worse for wear and tear, but I'll survive, I'm sure.
Good on you, good on you. And would you have ever thought, all those years ago, that you'd be a #1 selling author in Australia, mate?
No, it's not something that immediately come to mind. I'm not just so sure about #1, but yeah. Hey, listen, that sounds all right. That sounds all good to me.
Look, and one of the things I love most about the book Dirty Deeds, mate, is we've chatted many times when you've been here in Adelaide with Dave Tice,
yeah.
and reading the book. It's like you talking to me. And that's what I really love about it. It's like having a chat with you.
Oh, mate, that's great to hear. You know, one of the really warming things that's been coming back to me for feedback from Dirty Deeds is that, you know, people that do know me say, oh man, I can hear your voice in it. It sounds like you're having a conversation with you. So, you know, that's you know, that was. I'm really happy it's come out that way because the book's just written, you know. How I speak, you know, that's how it comes out, you know, and it's great to know that it's landed like that with you, mate, you know, because, you know, it's you know, right, doing this whole thing, it's quite an intense process to go through, you know, and recounting everything, and it's been very remedial for me, and it's just been a really intriguing journey writing the book. And, you know, to have it land with people when they say, oh, it's like having a conversation with you, that's I couldn't ask for it to turn out any better than that. It's just fantastic, mate. Fantastic. And
the other thing, Mark, that really struck me, and before I even read the book, one of the things that seeing you play, especially with Dave, and all the photographs, even from the AC/DC days, you're always the one with the biggest smile on your face, and even when you play with Ticey, you've always got a big grin on your face. And as soon as I started reading the book, and when you were talking about your dad, and the thing that you really remember about him is that smile, and that's you, mate. That is just so you. That really floored me.
Oh, mate, well, that's great that it comes across. You know, like, you know, one of the things that I like to think happens is that you know, as you go through life and you'll learn as you go along. And very early on, I learned from my father, you know, how to deal with things, how to deal with success, and how to deal with things that don't particularly go your way. And it's to deal with them the same way. It's just deal with them for what they are and learn from them. And the best way to do that is just with a positive attitude. You know, just you know. Go and do gigs, and just have fun with what you're doing, and I'm sort of blessed to have it passed down to me that I'm very good at enjoying myself and seeing the positive side of things. I think it's a very important facility to have, you know, just to be able to enjoy yourself, and even when things aren't going so well, you know, navigate your way through that in the best possible way you can.
And I totally agree, mate. And you are a walking example of that. And
thanks, Michael. Thanks, mate.
And folks reading the book, you know, may not be aware of, you know, I guess people would naturally expect, you know, you've had some time in AC/DC, your life has been on top of the world, but you really have had some very hard things to deal with in life, losing your dad so early, and the terrible loss of Kristen, your daughter. It's unfathomable that, you know, people go through that, but for you to come out and be so positive with those is a real. I think people reading the book will really take that on board and say, and that, you know, that's the sort of thing that touches people.
Yeah. Well, you know, when like it's just part of life, Michael. You know, everyone. You everyone has their ups and downs, you know, and it's just a theory that I have that, you know, if you have some massive highs or you have some great things happen in your life, you can have the corresponding things on the other side of the ledger too, you know. I think it's just how you deal with these things is the main issue. I think everyone in their life is touched by loss, and it's just how you sort of just reconcile it. And you know, I know that the way I approach it, I just, you know, just think of, well, how are the people that are not with you want you to do things, and it always comes back to me that, like, is, you know, they would want you to sort of, you know, enjoy life to the fullest, you know. You know, they're saying if you have a down moment, you know, I can hear my old man saying, "Hey, listen, mate, pull your socks up, will you? You know, get on with it." You know, it doesn't mean that the memories are any less. So I think it makes the memories richer. You know, but like I said, you know, it's all part of life, and that's not me belittling the situations that I've been through, because, you know, without putting too much of a point on it, it's just been bloody awful, you know. There's no question about it. There's no other way you can look at it. But it's how you deal with it. And I just kind of think that you see the true core of someone in adversity. And I know, you know, I've had my family and my friends around me, and you see the true content of their character through situations like this. And I'm blessed having a fantastic family and just a bunch of friends that are just the absolute best. So I'm a very fortunate man, very fortunate.
Indeed, totally agree. You find out the true character of your family and friends, and another really interesting aspect of the book, and I don't want to dwell on the AC/DC stuff, because people will go over and over that. But I found it really interesting, mate, to hear about Paran and parts of Melbourne you grew up with, because that's, you know, it's part of Australia, that those stories that we sort of don't get to hear about.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, one of the main motivations, or possibly the main motivation early on for writing the book, was to repay a lot of the punters and supporters over the years have come to all the gigs. You know, guys like yourself, Michael. You know, you come on and say, "Oh, yeah, what was it like, man? What was it like playing ACD? What was Bun like?" And you know, it's me putting, you know, people that are genuinely interested on the inside of the band at a very formative time, because it's important that you know, I've read a lot of books that have been written about AC/DC in the past, and a couple of times I've been reading about the times that I've been involved in the band in these other books. And I swear to God, it's like they're talking about another band. I don't recognise the atmosphere or the colour they're setting, that's been set up about the band around that period of time. And it's just to, you know, from my side of things, my opinion, to put people on the inside and give people a taste of what it was like when the band in its formative years. And I quite realised there was only a very, you know, you look at the whole timeline of the band, it's only a very small period that I was involved in. But I think it's a very formative period, because it was a period when the band went from being like zero to really start kicking some ass over in UK and Europe, and that all happened in a 2.5 year period, so it's pretty intense. But I just like the chance to just, you know, get a clear idea to people that are interested about what it was like being in the band at that stage. And I think, you know, it's a very instructive and indicative period, particularly when you're doing it with Bon Scott on board. Very interesting fellow.
And I think too, mate, the time your tenure with the band, that lineup of the band in Australia in particular is very special to us, because at the time AC/DC were our band in Australia. We could come and see you play all the time. And after that, the band was permanently overseas, and they were like, you know, a lost cousin that we got to, you know, that popped in maybe once every couple of years. But in the time you were in the band, even though you were overseas a lot, AC/DC was still very much in our face in Australia, and I think that's really why those 3 years are so precious to Australians.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Michael. I think it's a lot to do. A lot to do with the fact that the band was very visible here in Australia in that period, even when we were overseas through things like Countdown and all that. I think, people here got very, very close to the band, and the fact that Bon was the front man. I think there was there's no doubt Bon was a very endearing character, and a front man that it's a cliche, but they only made one of him. You know what I mean? And I think there was a very Bon's persona. I think it was very, very easy to warm to. The public perception of him was being a real scallywag and just a great guy to hang out with, which was pretty close to the truth, to be honest. I think Bon felt a great duty and a great responsibility to his image too, but he was at the front of the band. He was very much the front man of AC/DC. Now, things have changed over the years, and probably Angus is the front man of AC/DC. But we were very fortunate back in those days to basically have two front guys in the band, and it says a lot about Bon's stature and Bon's capability, where he was very much the front man of AC/DC, and Angus was riding shotgun to him. So it says about the strength of his on-stage persona that he could dictate that situation.
And correct me if I'm wrong, mate, but I think you referred to Bon in the book at some stages as sort of feeling like your crazy uncle a bit, because there was a big age difference, wasn't there?
Yeah, sure. When I joined the band, I was 19, and Bon was 29. So when you're 19, you're working with a guy that's 10 years old. That's a big gap,
It is.
But it was, he was like the social director and crazy uncle, in the book I describe him as like a crazy uncle who gets pissed at all the weddings and tries to get onto the young chicks. that was him, It was just a cool guy, and very much for me, he was from a different generation. That's because I was very aware of Bon's history before AC/DC, because I was a bit of a fan of what he used to do, But yeah, it was interesting. That's a rather large gap, But I think that's what happens with AC/DC. Except for me, I think there's the guys that they've gone with in the band tend to be more senior age guys. When they got Chris in, the drummer, he'd been around for quite a while, and Brian Johnson is probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, in the band now. It's just the way it stacks up, I guess. But such is life, mate. Such is life.
Indeed. But the other thing too that I don't think gets enough attention is how you and Phil, as a rhythm section, really set the tone for what AC/DC has done since. You guys really, at the time there, a lot of drummers and bass players were very frilly and very flashy, and you guys were the total opposite of that, and you really started something, and it's been written about a lot since, but you guys were really, I think, started something really that has endured.
Yeah, well, that's nice of you to say so, but I think what you've got to look at on the whole in that situation is the rhythm section in AC/DC, when still these days, but when I started working with them, we was playing it really straight down the line, and it was really sort of almost very primal what we were doing compared to a lot of the other flowery stuff that was getting around at the time. But I think when you talk about the rhythm section in AC/DC, particularly when I was with it, you can't just say it's Phil and myself. It's Phil, Malcolm, and myself. It's a three-piece rhythm section. And I've got to tell you, if you're a bass player and you're playing with Phil Rudd and you're playing with Malcolm Young, you're flying first class, man.
It doesn't get better than that.
And that's a rhythm section. I always looked at it as a three-piece rhythm section, And while at the time it was viewed as being almost pedestrian and being ultra really super straight down the line sort of stuff, it definitely time you can look back and say, oh, yeah, that's where it all started. But, I think, that's taken it over the top of it. I think it's a great rhythm section, man. I really do. And by being part of that rhythm section in that time and place, I think that's fantastic. I've just got great memories of it, and I cherish those memories playing with those guys. Got to tell you, it was great fun, and it was a great band to play with live. Great band.
And many of us got to see, in our teenage years, got to see you do that, which is very special memories for a lot of us indeed. I just wanted to quickly go sideways because you mentioned you took a few guitar lessons from a guy by the name of Tony Naylor, and he is, in my opinion, one of Australia's greatest guitar players from the 70s. His band,
great, man.
His band Avalanche, with Coxie behind the drum kit, were a fantastic band.
Yeah, sure. Well, where we're living in Paran, I took some lessons with my buddy Graham Kennedy, who's still my best pal, and we took some lessons with Tony when he was teaching at Allen's in Melbourne. And actually, Tony used to live just around the corner from us in Wilson Street in South Yarra, just around the corner from our Commission Place. And we got to know him, and great guitar player, man. Fantastic, and he's just a great guy, and he really lit the fire for Graham and myself. He was just and it's also interesting to note, in Avalanche, his band that was kicking around in the mid-70s, the drummer after Graham Cox was Barry Cram, who ended up joining Graham and myself in Contraband.
Yes, indeed. And
so it's all tied in. I haven't seen Tony much over the years, but I had a little bit of contact with him. And man, besides being a great guitar player, just a fantastic guy too, man. He's just a real gentleman, Killer guitar player, man.
Yes, and on the subject of Contraband, another fella that should be a hero in Australia. Owen was a fantastic singer, mate.
Owen Orford, yeah. I still see Owen quite a bit. There's the core of that band is like there's Barry Cram and Dave Hines, Owen, Graham Kenny, myself, and Brian Todd, our manager. We're all still in contact. They're a great bunch of guys, and it says a lot that we're all still in contact after all these years. I really enjoy the time with the band.
And it was a great.
Owen's just a killer singer, just a knockout, man.
Totally agree. And just quickly on the subject of singers, you had a bit of time in heaven with Alan Fryer from Adelaide for a while. And they were a great band too.
I did, man.
And did you take over from Coxie?
That's right. Yeah. I did. That's just one of the things that happened. You started off as a guitar player, as you probably know, and then went to bass. And then that's the heaven thing. We were taken over from Mick Cox. That sort of fired me back into playing guitar, which I'm still doing now with Dave Tice. It got me back into the guitar playing. I really do miss the bass playing. I'm doing some gigs at the moment with a long-lived Bond band with Angry, Mark Gable, Dave Gleason, and Swanee.
Awesome.
And Paul DeMarco, Di Pritchard from Tats and Steve Edmonds. So I'm back playing bass right at the moment, but I'll get back to doing the stuff with Dave because he's over in Europe at the moment. Where we start playing again end of October. We do a national tour, and I'll get back to playing that. But I took over from Mick, and another fine Carlton supporter, and he's sadly missed, man. He was just a great fellow. Very close mates.
He was a great guitar player and a great character indeed.
Mick Cox, Malcolm Young, and Keith Richard. They're you guys, man. If you want guys setting up songs, you want one of those three guys,
Well, let's finish off on some serious business. What happened to Carlton this year, mate?
Piss off. We were robbed. The fucking Eagles. Man, imagine getting robbed by the Eagles, man. That's embarrassing.
I had big tickets on you to do Collingwood in the grand final this year too.
Oh, mate, the AFL will be true. I got to tell you, if you make it to a grand final, right, and you're playing against Collingwood, you're rubbing your hands together because you just know they're going to find some way to screw it up. But I can't believe it. Last year, I can't believe Stephen Milne blew it in the last couple of seconds. All they do is kick the ball over the line, and they would have gutted the Pies by a point. It would have been perfect.
So you haven't got enough South Aussies like Kernahan in the team anymore.
He's been fantastic, man. Kernahan was just, like he said, he's the president of the club now. I remember when Six first went to Carlton. They went to Carlton in '86, and they played in the grand final and got beaten by Hawthorn. And the next year, his second year at club, they made him captain and they won the flag, man. He was just, the effect that he had on the club, and still is, you can't calculate it, man. He's blue and white. I reckon he shits blue and white, man.
Fantastic. Well,
yeah, right.
Yeah, really, before the AFL, there was so many Adelaide guys sort of tied up with Carlton. Carlton was sort of, in an unofficial way, Adelaide's second, or, our team in the VFL.
Like guys like come across like Peter Motley and all those guys.
That's right.
Motley was fantastic too. That was a real tragedy what happened with him, But Craig Bradley was another one. There was so many of them come across, man. Carlton were very good at getting. They got a few from Western Australia too, but like if you think of imports, the ones that immediately come to mind to me is from Kernahan and Bradley. They're just brilliant. There's been stacks of other ones too, but they're pretty too. They're hard ones to beat, those two, man.
Yeah, well, all I got left for this year is go the Cats, mate.
Oh, mate, yeah. Anyone else but Collingwood, eh? Hey, what about this? My wife's a Collingwood supporter. How do you think I'm going?
Oh, gee, that's how can you be in the same house?
Oh, I can't. I'm just inside barracking for the Cats, and they've got to win, don't they?
Fingers crossed.
All right, then.
All right, mate, it's been lovely to say hello as always, and I cannot recommend your book highly enough, and I know it's doing big business, and everyone is just enjoying it so much, and you've done an absolutely magnificent job, mate.
Thanks, Michael. Well, I look forward to catching up when Dave Tice and myself make it over to Adelaide. I think we've got it slated in for, I think it's late January, February next year. Looking
forward to it. Ticey is a great character, and I love seeing you guys play. And one of the things that if folks haven't seen Tyson Evans play, you will enjoy. The tunes are fantastic, but the rapport you guys have together on stage, and you're always cracking jokes and stuff, and the actual stuff between the songs is worth coming to see.
No, we have a ball, man. We have a ball, and we've got the special release of the Brothers in Arms CD, which is going out. I think it's the first week in November. It's going out to all the radio stations and all the stuff. So yeah, it's going to be available on iTunes and yeah. Release worldwide. How about that?
Fantastic, good one. Well, hopefully your book will make a few people's ears prick up around the world and jump on the Tyson Evans bandwagon as well.
Hey, good one. I knew all the hard work would finally pay off.
Good one. All right, mate. Thank you so much. Take care, and hopefully we won't see a Carlton flag flying after Saturday.
Mate, well, won't be too far down the line, man. Hey, Michael, thanks, mate. Look forward to catching up when I get to Adelaide, huh?
Take care. All the best, mate. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.